The political panel. Doug Schoen is a former advisor to President Clinton and a Fox News contributor. Matt Schlapp is chairman of the American Conservative Union. Good to see you both, gentlemen.
Good to see you.
Doug, I'm going to start with you. You were in the White House with the former president at the time of the Iran hostage taking, and there have been a lot of things that you've seen that have looked like we're on the brink. You heard Congressman Issa and the way he put it. Your thoughts?
Well, we are on the brink, Harris. The question is, what are we going to do beyond what we've done? Because for 20 years, we've rattled the saber, and North Korea keeps testing. And now we're on the brink of the potential of an existential moment for our country. I think we have to put more pressure on the Chinese. I think we need to put more pressure at the UN, but we have to actively consider the use of unilateral force, something nobody wants if, in fact, those steps do not get them, the North Koreans, to stand down. And we also have to consider regime change on a proactive basis.
Wow.
Those are unpalatable thoughts, I know.
Yeah, that regime part, especially because our Secretary of State has said in no certain terms, we do not seek the collapse of the regime. We are not your enemy. We are not your threat. Matt, I want to come to you. Congressman Issa said this president, President Trump, is going about it the right way so far. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that, Harris, and I do think that the world knows that there's a new sheriff in charge of the government in America, and I think that comes with new policies. And what I can't help but think about is that when presidents come in to office, they often think that they'll have a certain type of presidency, but then reality overtakes things. Here you have a new president who's not a globalist, he's not an interventionist, he's kind of attacked neocons in the past wars started by President George W. Bush, but yet he's faced with this reality, which is this other historical context that for almost 70 years we've had this policy of trying to prevent North Korea from becoming nuclearized. And I think a lot of people look at this as an existential threat, like Doug said, and it also reminds us, why has Trump tried to change the topic from a war of words with Russia to really focusing on our real global threat, the #1 global threat, which is China. And if you listen to what the general and the other people have been saying on your show, China's fingerprints are all over this nuclear program in North Korea, and so we have got to get serious about both these threats.
Yeah, you caught that, and I asked General Keane about that. I mean, aren't they oppositional that you see their fingerprints on it, yet you need to lean on them? And isn't that exactly almost where we are with Russia right now, Doug? They were a huge component in this 15-0 vote to put more sanctions on North Korea inside the United Nations. Our ambassador, Nikki Haley, thanked Russia and China for their participation in that.
Well, I thank them too, but they've been working with and doing business with the North Koreans on an almost unabated basis for the last 20 or 30 years. Obviously, we need these sanctions, but we need a lot more. We have to totally isolate this government. China, as Matt was correctly saying, and you were saying, Harris, can literally turn out the lights in North Korea, and I urge them to cut off the power and cut off all economic dealing.
A lot of breaking news on the subject. We're glad to get your expertise as our political panel today. Doug and Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you, Harris.
Thank you.
A question.